Hello and welcome, Cosmic Quantum Travelers. I hope you're all doing well. I know it's very interesting energies, especially since Monday. A huge multidimensional merge happening. It's all coming together. It's all aligning. It's all synchronizing. It's all merging as one. Oneness is here now, and it's our key to freedom. And it's all interconnected with the love tsunami that has taken off, well, really since the end of January, and it's timeless. But again, you know, we received these amplifications and series of activations, and really every day it's more and more and more. Some days are a little bit more integrative, but still it's also the tri-wave where we're constantly upgrading, clearing and transmuting. So it's really happening all at the same time, where before we would have weeks or months or days at least of one of those three themes. So it would be more cyclical and it would be much more drawn out. And now it's really super extra quantum, got so speed fast, because everything is hugely accelerating. So time is really folding in on itself, or if we want to see like a book, it's all these pages coming together, all the timelines, all merging into one. Okay, and ultimately, or we could imagine it in many different ways. Many different people have many different ways of describing these things with many different words. And I want to clarify also a few things and maybe express them more precisely. Because every time I look back on a video, I know that, you know, I basically rewatch them and then I obviously make notes for improvement. And there's always something where I often don't finish a sentence, and because I jump ahead and in my head I finish the sentence, but I'm already speaking the next sentence, or I don't express something fully because again, there's so many parts to every answer. And yeah, you know, we could be here forever to really cover it all, or not say anything whatsoever. That will probably be best at this point anyway. Massive clearing of distorted thought forms, especially belief systems in regards to spirituality. I mean, that really is the basis of everything else. And it's at the core of the distortions, such are the religions. And we also have this in the spiritual community. And that's a big thing of the clearing right now, that it's clearing out all the astral field and all these distortions, because also we can't lift the veil until we have cleared that shit out, because otherwise people would go insane. From those of us who clear this stuff out, we know you know what I'm speaking about. So all this false light matrix is basically being dissolved with that. Hallelujah. All these soul bindings, attachments, entities, parasitic infections, demon seeds, all this shit is leaving the platform, the existence, back to source. Massive activations today, massive. It's becoming beyond crystal clear. This is done, beyond done, as in any moment now. Literally, it's all going to be new earth now, all of it. And many of us can already see a lot of the shifts. Now, it really depends where you're looking at, from which, you know, what information you are focusing on. What are you giving your attention to, your sacred life force, okay? My realities look really good. I need to ask usually other people of what's actually going on. Apparently there's an awakening. I do see and feel that as well. But most of us really go within now, that we'll be watching, to really see what's going on. And for those that are still concerned by those headlines out there, whenever I look out, especially since Monday, just constantly, I know this is a holographic projection. It's about to go fully offline, totally withdraw all life support, because we're totally focusing on what we want to create, not on this nonsense. And with due respect, but ultimately, if it's not something you're personally involved in or right in front of you, is it even real? Question mark. And, you know, anything we've been shown may as well be CGI. Plus, this is a hologram. So even if you see something in front of you, might as well be a hologram because it is a hologram. So what are we projecting? That's the question. It's not even about manifestation. It's about the projection of our DNA that's getting fully activated right now. And that's bringing online new realities. That's why this is always within. Out there is the distraction. I mean, everybody needs to work through whatever they need to work through. Don't avoid anything. When you work with timelines, especially, you need to transcend the fear. So you don't want to experience the timeline. I've done this many times where something would come up in my reality, and I would just get like kind of in a meditative state and live that experience, what I'm afraid of, bring up all the fear, release it, then kind of burn the timeline or make it go up in smoke or blow it away like corns of sand, whatever visual helps you. Okay, this is all about your imagination. We all have different perspectives of reality and how we perceive things and the supernatural world. So there isn't necessarily right or wrong things. There are and there aren't. That's another point I'm going to come back to. So anyway, where was I? DNA activations, everything is clearing. We are coming more back into ourselves. Our multidimensional selves is merging and unifying. And we are going to feel more grounded because all of these astral bindings and entities and attachments and constant psychic attacks and black magic, and especially those of us who have a important mission or are more public, have a lot of that to deal with. If we do work like me in removing these entities, of course you'd be high on the list and so forth. So that's all leaving. So yes, we will feel more grounded. We will feel more integrated. Loads of memories are returning. It's all part of basically clearing out all the shit and soul retrieval, okay, merging with our multidimensional self. And this is happening en masse for many months now. It's been, going in waves. Because if you switch everything on too quickly at one point, you burn out some wires. So we're doing this again as easy and gracefully as we can, and there are constant adjustments to the timelines as we are experiencing. But I truly feel what I see in the field is all the old is gone. It's literally evaporating. It's just the reality has a little bit of a lag. You just need to totally withdraw your life support, all these foreign timelines, whatever they want to feed you and kind of drag you down and back into the illusion. Okay, because these are false timelines, holographic inserts. Again, what of that is even real? And what is real? Okay. I mean, even science is catching up on time and space isn't real. Gravity is, also has been influenced by some negative alien technology. The magnetic grids and core are shifting. So, which is so necessary for us also to be able to switch on our extra superpowers, extrasensory perception gifts, superpowers. It's all coming online along with the DNA activation and our soul retrieval and clearing all this shit out. And what's part of this false matrix dissolution is that you will then see that a lot of the spiritual leaders, teachers, gurus, whatever you want to, all the different healers out there and so forth, a lot of them have been infiltrated. Now there's 2 points to this, okay? But it needs to be spoken to because it is going to come up really big in the field, or is already. I mean, it has been really for a while, but we're all at different stages of awareness. And there are many different levels of fuckery that has been going on. So you have people who, and we all have had, okay, interference. I mean, as long as you still have our ego self, our traumatized self, okay, we all have attachments and entities. That's the main problem down here, okay? Ultimately, the negative thought forms that have taken on a life of their own. So we need to lose the fear, all right? Because the fear is what attracts them to you. If you keep fighting from fear, At one point on your journey, you get to a point where it's just like, you just do it from a really 0 point field. It's just dissolving it in your field because, yes, they are like moths to a flame. And you are their way back home to source. Or, sometimes it's stuck souls, in places or people we do healing for that we help, to transit. Also at a collective level. So anyway, so this is all clearing out. Okay, so people will, depending on where they're at, there will be mental instabilities, emotional instabilities, because it's a big unraveling. But that's why really I do feel there will be an event. Now, somebody asked me to speak on a solar flash. I personally do believe it will be any moment now. I don't think it will be a solar flare. It's a spiritual light. In the end, when I ask for the highest answer, like that's my personal answer, okay? Because there's still a Ramona here, right? We still have our personality. It's just integrating. I know when to step away, and I've cleared out my ego distortions. I think most of them anyway. All right. There's always more. There's always more. Okay. Now, okay. Where was I? Before I lose this and hop to the next thing that comes in about perfection. What was I saying? No, I forgot. I do hope that gets better in the future, because the thing is, whenever I make videos, there's a lot of frequency, energies, and activations coming through. And it's harder for me to be precise with my words and what I'm saying. I lose my thought. You will see when I'm writing, it's much like I don't even take that much time. I just write in one go, and I'm just able to do it more succinctly. And I always have found it more easy to express myself in words. But then when I speak like this, there's again more that can be included and explained, and it's more multidimensional, so to say, as much as we can do this with linear language. Yeah, I don't know where I was. So I'm going to go to the next thing that comes in, language, okay? Because language, I said in the last video, so that's one of the things I wanted to come back to and expand on, because it's important to remember that we constantly expanding our truth, and there are more parts to it. And, often I think like, I should have said this differently, or I didn't say this quite correctly, because, I'm always improving or trying to. Sometimes the energies are very extreme, and then I can't remember half of it now, up around a lot. It just is what it is. I do my best, and I let that be good enough. I've learned that, because I used to be my own worst enemy. I used to be so hard on myself, have really high expectations, and you'll end up very uptight and not happy with yourself, and constantly, not good enough. So I let it be good enough, but I make notes, and I like to improve and expand on it. And that's all you should really measure yourself upon, on your own idea of what you aspire to, and try and improve upon that. Not compare yourself to another, or, we get inspired by others, but we don't try and emulate them or copy them. It's just, we all inspire each other. We all have different keys and codes, So anyway, where was I again? So I'm the one who hops around everywhere. I hope most people find this endearing. Otherwise I'm doomed. So language, okay. What I wanted to come back to in the last video was, when I said language is boring, what I actually wanted to say was, I didn't finish the sentence. I find us arguing over language boring, okay? Because language, as soon as we use it, it's very limiting. I find it limiting. We do our best with what we're given, but it's linear. It's not multidimensional. It separates. It's you, me, him, her, past, present, future. Okay, all of these things. Also remember, when we argue over words, and that's why I like to interchange words. If you might have noticed, sometimes I say Nova Gaia, sometimes I say New Earth, sometimes I say Ascension Earth or New Organic Ascensionality, interchangeably, because it's, yes, there are frequency to words, but there's mainly the encryption is behind the words, the frequency from where they come from. Because if you think about false realities and authentic expression and false expressions and people that are false in masks, they could come to you and say, hi, and be like your best friend and all sweet and nice. But if you really tuned in the super empath, your whole alarm system will go off and you just know the frequency of falseness is there. Doesn't matter what the mouth says. Okay, so ultimately the words, they do matter, but then on a higher level that don't matter, because especially the false light people, that's what I was speaking of, the two groups of people, especially with false light, okay, and the false leadership out there, false spiritual people and teachers and gurus. There's some people that we spoke about that just like, most of us here that, do their best, and sure, we had, certain distortions in our field along the line, and we try and clear that out to bring as clear messages through as possible. Okay, that's the whole deal. That's what we do here, and that's why transcending and integrating the ego is so important, and really surrendering and fully stepping away in the 0-point field of neutrality to really receive clarity, in the messages that we receive. So then there's the other group of the false light problem, or the false light matrix that is behind spiritual leaders and teachers and healers, that are those that know what they're doing, and they're obviously the problem. Okay, so you're not having the problem of people who might be channeling certain beings and they think they're benevolent, but they might be not, for example. Okay, but the people who know what they're doing knowingly obviously are of negative agenda. Okay, and there are so many, and we also see this in the political field, that you do not know anymore who's who. All right, now I don't focus on a political agenda, but also they have been shown, when we talk about white hats and is it black hats? I don't know. That whole thing of good versus bad and who's who, we don't really know what's behind. There will be double agents and maybe even triple agents and people who turn around, turn sides, so to say, especially right now, because this is the last curtain call. And so, we don't really know. And I really, again, I don't go and look at the political arena because it just doesn't interest me. Okay, I look at the spiritual arena because that's my thing. So the whole false light issue is a big issue, obviously, and it's been a big part of my journey. As I said in one of my videos, ultimately it's all experience. That's how we learn, as with everything in life. So ultimately there's nothing to be afraid of. I mean, that's the whole transcendence of the matrix, where you just become very clued in, you get to know yourself, and then you also know when people bullshit you, so when somebody is false. So these false people, the only way I can really suss it out, which is one of the things I'm also here for, to kind of really see through these masks and veils and shiny exteriors, or whatever it may be, because there's not one kind of list of things I could give you to say, these are exactly the markers. Okay, there might be some markers, let's check out, but ultimately they come in all shapes and sizes and dress up in masks. So really, you can just feel it. Like, there are certain people where, I know a lot of people love, and I can't even fault them much for anything like on paper, but I just know it's just false. It's just my alarm bells, everything goes off. It's like nobody sees it, but okay. And others where I can see signs, and again, there are so many people out there, and that's why I always say, try and take the message apart, or like separate it from the messenger. Sure, if it maybe comes from a source you think or have a question mark might be infiltrated or compromised knowingly, double filter, but you could still learn something from it, because there's truth everywhere. Everybody speaks some truth, okay? Even the most distorted people, so to say. And I don't even like the word distorted. We need to come up for another thing. It's just the false self, okay, that hangs around in all kinds of ways. Now, it's one question as well. So just to finish language. So I find it boring to argue over language, okay, because it just divides. It's already divisive enough, all right? So in different countries also, we have different names for different things, don't we, even for the name of the country. So let's not argue over what we call New Earth. It's about what do we mean when we say these words, okay? Some other person might not understand any English. So let's fully transcend this, okay? All these divisions and categorizations, multidimensional, sees beyond the obvious. You feel into the information. You feel the encryption. You feel the frequency. You can't sort it out with your head. There might be certain, again, things where you say, yeah, wait, I've seen this in the past, sure. But you can't just say, when you see that one thing, and then that's it, there, false light, distorted. No, that's not how it goes. There are many nuances to it. That's multidimensional living. Okay, we cannot just do black and white and good and bad. No. And even the most baddest people, you know, they have some good in them. So let's focus on the good, but whilst being very aware, very discerning, okay? It's both. Everything is both and, okay? So language can be used, obviously, very consciously. Let's try and simplify it. Let's not get divided over it. Sometimes I find it limiting. I try and do my best, but, you know, sometimes I say the wrong word. Sometimes I don't say it all, you know, how I want to say it, and I forget something and a lot. But again, multidimensionally, many answers, okay, to something. So one more thing from last call, I want to pick up on when somebody asked, I'm feeling a bit stuck and is there anything wrong with that? And I said, first of all, no, just neutralize, be okay. You know, the non-resistance is such a key part. So that is still true. And I said to her also to, you know, really go into your observer state, you know, the neutral observer, your eternal self, who is looking, you know, at the story you're telling yourself and all the programs maybe you're sitting in, to give you an answer of what, you know, to see beyond what you think is just, because there's more going on than just stuckness, definitely. But what I also want to add is that also, yes, there is ultimately no right or wrong. But yeah, there are some experiences and decisions and ways we go about things, obviously, that are more enjoyable than others. And some people really do get stuck in repetitive behaviors, but that we all have that to a certain degree. So we all have themes that we really find hard to learn. And ultimately, we're all here learning different things at different times, different parts take us longer or less. And if you think about it, when you take away the separation and you, me, them, us, and they are further behind or further ahead, they're just other versions of you, of source, figuring out different parts in no time. Because you were there at some point, isn't it? So are you judging a past self of you, or are jealous of a future self of yourself? You know what I mean? So that's the totally transcending even that, you know, because this whole competition or trying to make it, or people being afraid not making it, the fear of failure, of not making Ascension, I mean, it's been around for ages, that actually makes you do things that will get you all tangled up, okay, because you think like you need to figure it out. Natural, the instruction sets are ultimately built in. The more sovereignly you can do this without outside influence too much, the better it is. But of course we like to, you know, get inspired and read things and whatever, but just don't get too stuck onto something, because there's always expansion in how we perceive things. And even in the materials, and as I said, even with history or what we believe to be true or not, is especially now constantly changing. We know even in, you know, news or any kind of news, anything could change any moment. And it has repeatedly in the past. And it will again, and especially now it's already happening. So why are we hanging on to anything? And we want it to change anyway. So let's focus on that instead of thinking, no, this is how it is. Let's focus on how we want it to be. So when we feel stuck, a big part of that, which should now release for everyone, okay, where we felt we couldn't heal or people weren't able to really look because there was just too much trauma and they haven't been equipped. And also a lot of ego distortions that hadn't, you know, allowed them to do that. But ultimately it also comes back to the whole problems with the negative entity attachments and soul bindings, and also to do with this whole spiritual thing, okay, and all the people we've been connected to and healings we've had and activations. And, you know, shit has happened. Our light bodies have gotten damage, and we were connected to the wrong people. I really just gotten better once I detached from all of this. Like I just do my own thing, obviously, because that's what I'm here for. But I really needed to just detach from all of that, because I just could see, and still can see, there's just a lot of distortions out there. But they're all clearing, okay? It's not about being afraid. You just need to go with your feeling and your intuition, and ultimately everything is an experience. Like you can't, know that fire hurts or what does fire feel like until you touch it. That's what your whole experience is for. That's why we need to get over the fear of failure and get into the frequency of celebration, okay? Where you don't attach to any outcome or needing to make it or not. I mean, even if you would die right now, you're still ascending. And even if you would not make it, although everybody's going to make it as such, okay, we're all getting out of this hell matrix, somebody else, another part of you would, if that makes sense. And I know that's hard for the ego to understand, but once you've transcended the ego, you are eternal, okay? Death is an illusion. Whether you make it or not, it's actually hilarious making it. This is a dream. What ultimately this is about is us now constantly remembering we're the avatar walking in the dream. And the more the lower realities, this whole phantom matrix is dissolving now at super extra fast and about to fully dissolve visibly. What was the sentence? It's going to dissolve fully visibly now, any moment. Okay, really, because the field is being absolutely blitzed. Okay, so as this whole astral field and all these entities and all these negative attachments and hooks and cords and miasms and lower codings and all that stuff, yeah, which we have for especially the people in the group. I mean, it's not a group, but people who have followed my activations, we've done over the last many months, really been building up on all of these activations, and they really now fully activating along with our DNA fully coming online. What I saw today was with the diamond white light and aquamarine light coming in straight from source, from the God worlds, and literally spiritualizing our DNA, literally as if the Holy Spirit is moving through our DNA. And it's now not even just about thinking it's coming from source, although that's also, but it's like the source within. Like we have huge high heart, permanent seed atom activations collectively happening now. The monadic integration, okay, and the galactivation. So pineal pituitary gland today, huge activations emerging happening. Again, back of the head, crown, throat keeps coming up and on, like, keep clearing. I mean, everything really, it's like just different parts keeps clearing and activating and so forth. We're going through different washing cycles. So we've been accumulating all of these activations, and everybody's at slightly different stages, but ultimately it's about enough of us building up the, integration from multidimensional self, building up enough frequency and quantum, reintegration of our higher identities and God's whole self, that's activating the grids and activating the collective field, and it's it's quantum, along with all the plasma infusions and upgrades coming from source and the sun and so forth. And it's both happening. So we're doing our part, obviously a lot of cosmic help on all levels, and it's all really coming together. And huge diamond grid activations, huge DNA activations, clearing out all the nonsense. So from a whole morphogenetic field level and, planetary level, astral field level, I mean, everything is just being blitzed right now. So today it was like that light coming in, spiritualizing our DNA, and also from our high hearts, our high heart also, permanent seed atom really activating, bringing, us fully online, and basically from us radiating out this. It's basically like an autoimmune response now that's clearing out the whole field, and we're just getting wider and wider and brighter, and it's just clearing it all out, just clearing it all out, just clearing it all out. Done, 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 until it's absolutely done. But it's literally, we're running through the finish line. It's done. It's done. You know, you've already won. You literally just, it's done. Okay. So that's all I can say to that. And it's a frequency, and people, yes, see different things depending on the frequency, what they have access to. It's not about time. Timeline access is frequency. It's integration of your multidimensional self, and obviously the gifts and abilities you come here with. So, and you know, what you've already activated. But we all have, you know, these abilities, and it's so important right now to fully step into our guardianship and claim the responsibility and accountability and power over our realities, personally and collectively. It's built into our DNA, the new earth blueprints, and we're now really walking into the new Eden. From within, the Edenic Paradisian bliss codes, divine union love codes are activating from within. All held in our DNA, activated through, you know, the plasmas and the solar flares, solar activity. And the Schumann resonance is a little bit quieter today, although the Italian one, I think, is pretty active here and there. But ultimately, even that, when I look at it, it's still part of the illusion, so to say. So the AI grid is fully going down. It's just like, I just see organic crystalline technology on the earth. For me, all this artificial stuff doesn't exist. Just having a look at my notes, because I don't want to forget anything. So we're really like igniting like huge emerald grid activations, hard grid activations. I was anchoring today Trinity Pillars. So something new that came in for me. There was basically, it's the emerald ray with the blue ray, its first emanation, together with the platinum white ray, anchoring these in certain locations. And yeah, really beautiful. So really also bringing in the more of the Trinity frequencies, which come in different rays. So I work with all rays, and just at different times, different rays come in most predominantly. So everything I write about is ultimately, you know, what I see when I'm working on this. So everything I do in my activations, I do every day for and with the collective field anyway, which is us, me, all of us together. And so this is just the stuff I see when I do the work, and other people might see different things because they, you know, are also working on different things. And the same with time and access, and what we see is depending on our frequency and what we resonate with, and what resonates with us one moment doesn't the next, you know. And then we, because we've up-leveled in frequency and activated more of ourselves, or we might have even fallen in consciousness, and then we resonate with something different for a little while, until we've integrated that and transcended it and alchemized it and turned it into gold. So yeah, also our multidimensional abilities are becoming so powerful, and with power and responsibility, okay, basically you don't get the power until you've taken full responsibility and accountability of your realities and everything that has happened so far. And that's the whole thing that I also was saying today about the, I don't know. Once we fully transcended our false ego self, okay, when we let go and have really forgiven, all right, but that means we do first need to feel it, okay? And it doesn't mean we need to wallow in our pain and our shame and our guilt, regrets, and all of that stuff for long anymore at all. It needs to literally just come up. I had things come up yesterday, and it was just, whoa, just for a moment. I had to, you know, as if crying, but it was really just a couple of tears, and it was gone within 5-10 minutes. But it was like I could literally feel DNA activation happening, or rather that timeline clearing out of my field, and just a deeper awareness of, you know, the puzzle pieces are really coming together of all the different timelines and knowing, especially I think for the blue rays, and again, those who are more activated and remembering more and more of their different lifetimes, multidimensional selves, and everything coming together in a very multidimensional whole picture. And with it also more of our gifts, more of our power. There was one thing today, like twice I got the message, be very careful what you think about and what you wish for, because manifestation then is also super amplified. So again, once we reach that 0 point field and that embodiment and that level of power and responsibility, we really cannot drop anymore below that frequency of consciousness. You cannot become unconscious anymore. You need to hold the field at all times now. And enough of us doing that now, that's what's clearing everything, because we're truly anchoring the Holy Trinity, our Trinity codes, our, divine union. That's it. I feel it all. It's like the whole brain state is coming online, pineal and pituitary gland, the whole galactivations, bringing our galactic self and really cosmic self online, because this goes beyond just this galaxy and solar system. So, message for the twin flames. It was asked for also, and it's in the field. I mean, I would have said something anyway, because this is connected also to the Lemurian Holocaust timelines and the healing of the divine feminine masculine, gender divide, gender splitting. And I really feel this is the golden piece, okay? That will make sense to some people. Well, I will make it, but it will resonate with some people, maybe not with everybody, yeah? Also, when we speak about twin flames, ultimately, we're all connected to that template, because it just brings the new relationship templates. And every relationship, again, is that. It's just that they hold like core templates, core keys and codes within their DNA, these Edenic, Paradisian templates of divine union that birthed a new age. New Earth, Ascension Earth, organic ascension timeline. Let's just agree on what we mean. What is the meaning, the frequency behind it? Do we mean the same thing? Okay. And also what I see New Earth, and in general, the new creatives field is all about, it's blending all of the different dimensions and timelines. So you will see things from Atlantean, Lemurian timeline, Tartarian, all kinds of different stuff. All right. So get your tinfoil hats ready. It's going to be fun. So, and listen, again, it's holographic, okay? We're quantum leaping. Yes, it is possible. It's written in the stars. It's the words that are coming right now, okay? So take it for what you like. I was also shown the black hole that's not natural in the center of the Milky Way. Basically is an imploded sun. So we did have two suns. It's the imploded sun, which is also representative of the inverted part of the consciousness, which is kind of representative of the mind inversions. And that re-reversing, you have two suns again. So anyway, I will leave that at that. I hope that made sense of what I just said. So back to the twin flames, message for them, and trying to crack what's at the core here, because what I'm really feeling is right now, generally collectively, it's a soul totally letting go, totally detaching, totally just, this is it now. Because yes, we are done now. We are done now, okay? So yes, the feminine has had a lot of patience, many different levels and layers for a long time. Now, it's not separate from the masculine. We are the masculine as well. Okay, so we had patience with ourselves. Okay, I try to get this interlinear language as oneness-like as I can. So basically, right now, so the feminines, generally speaking, those who hold more of the feminine energy, have been holding a lot of space for the masculines to kind of understand what this journey is about, that this is really real, that the feminines are not crazy and distorted and manipulative. Okay, they are not the distorted false feminine. Okay, now a false feminine is different to a feminine that has some distortions. We're trying in our merging with our divinity, you know what I mean, along the path, but it's different to the false feminine, who is, especially some who are really inserted in order to derail the twin flame journeys, or several layers of that as well. So anyway, so there's a difference, and obviously there's been a lot of hurt has been done through the false feminine, okay? That then, and also, which now ties in with the Lemurian Holocaust story, goes back to really an unforgiveness from the masculine to the feminine, of thinking, this bad black witch program that I mentioned, as in thinking, the feminine is whatever, crazy, distorted, or tries black magic or whatever. And the false feminine is one we can see, for example, in the whole Johnny Depp Amber Heard case. And it's the last time I bring this up, but it's very interesting because it's obviously this whole, like these inversions of, it's also kind of narcissistic personality disorder types that are being really represented, because it's not about masculine and feminine. It could be the man also sitting there, okay? So basically it's all coming up in order to be cleared and to really be seen, because there's been a lot of projection from the masculine onto the feminine by not forgiving the feminine for what has happened, also projecting experiences they had with the false feminine, okay, distorted feminine archetype onto their divine counterpart, and they can't differentiate anymore because they're projecting all their unhealed shadow aspects and trauma and wounds onto the divine feminine, which really ultimately hasn't deserved it. But also she's carrying it in her field because she's feeling guilty for obviously not having gotten everything right and having made mistakes as well. We all have made mistakes. So we're all sinners. We all have done something wrong, and we all innocent at our core. That's what we're returning to now, okay? In our God spark within our heart, all right? That's what we're trying to remember, and we really now need to forgive and move on and unify again within, because if the masculine doesn't forgive the feminine on some level and doesn't heal his mother wounds and the wounds he's taken away from distorted relationships in the past, then he's not integrating his own feminine. He's not trusting his own feminine. He's not trusting his intuition and his wisdom. And he isn't just, this could also be right for a feminine not trusting, her inner feminine. A woman not trusting her inner feminine and being too much in a masculine. So again, it's not about gender, all right? It's just about frequencies and energies, because we do need to use words to describe it. So the Lemurian Holocaust, what has happened is that the Yayani women, which were basically Essenes, very highly coded priesthood, council women that were taken for forced breeding to Nibiru by the Anunnaki. So part of the invasion of Lemuria was basically taking the feminine and taking them for forced breeding programs. And that's also how our creation code was really also taken, okay? And how a lot of the DNA mutations and interbreeding, these traumas have happened, okay? So this is something really deep within the feminine psyche, but also in the masculine. So what has happened is that the women basically gave themselves up, in a sense, to kind of, okay, take us, because they were promised that they would save the man's life. They would let them live, which of course didn't happen. Now, the thing is, the men also make mistakes, okay? Because they trust them and also let them in. May we have forgotten that in the story, if you want to talk about men and women even. But there had been a divide. That's the whole gender divide. And then it got really distorted and inverted through that outside influence. But the outside influence can only come in and crack the union if there's a crack in the union. Okay, if there was already a divide. And that has happened in many different timelines, also within the Lyran Wars. It has happened there as well within the families and with the divine unions there too. And it's ultimately the split within us and our masculine and feminine, and where it's not in union and we're at odds, and where we don't trust our divine feminine and intuition and wisdom, and those healing powers and those psychic knowings. Okay, so we all need to do this. We need to worship the goddess again, because that's how we also access God, and that's how we embody God. Okay, because that's how he speaks. He speaks through the divine feminine and her intuitive wisdom. And during that timeline that we're healing now, we also lost our tribal records, and they got distorted, and that has not been healed until now. So, and this is also connected to Emerald Covenant, and which is really here to restore the tribal records, return all the souls, and this is also very much connected with these Emerald Heart Grid activations and also our Emerald Heart. And, you know, sometimes we talk about the Emerald Heart, sometimes about the Crystal Rose Heart, sometimes we talk about the Lotus. Okay, these are different configurations, they're different layers and levels, so light body and spiritual bodies. So also, if you ever don't understand something, that's one more thing I wanted to say. Where last time I said, you know, usually I use mostly as simple words as I can, that most people can understand. But yes, I do bring other terms in, especially during the activations, as you've noticed if you had listened to the last activation, the last YouTube video. And basically, what did I say? Oh my God. Very high energies. The activations. Oh my God. Okay, it's totally gone. This happened twice now. Anyway, my child. So as I said before, the tribal records are literally being returned through us. Okay, so it's very important for the blue race for us to activate this within by listening and trusting our wisdom and intuition. But we can only really do this if our ego has really been transcended and we are unified with the cosmic mind. That's clarity, okay? Not when our ego projects onto what we see, okay? And there have also been false memories, false, you know, holographic inserts and so forth, but thankfully it's all clearing. So everything is becoming clearer and clearer, okay? We just haven't had access to that level of clarity before. And the tribal records and memories are they're held within our DNA, within the crystalline grids. That's all activating. So we're here to return the wisdom, yes. And it's actually held within our crystalline rose hearts. And the pain we've suffered, the heartbreak we've suffered from, also part of the Lemurian Holocaust was the forced breeding programs, which then we had children that we didn't want to have. We were forced to breed and breed and breed and breed, literally just chained, okay, up and just breeding Anunnaki children, hybrid children. And we, you know, some tried to kill themselves, some try to kill themselves or their children, and that actually is still a wound within the human collective, and also that then expresses in women hating themselves, not feeling good enough, and or having, you know, not connecting with their children or hating their children, or maybe some women even, you know, killing their children. It comes in many ways and forms, and the womb healing trauma. So there's been a lot of womb healing happening, and it's really also us returning our codes. Okay, so as this is healing now and me speaking about this, so it's very important for the twin flames. If this resonates with you, it's part of the collective history that we're clearing these timelines. So they are coming up now to be felt, to be known, to be released, so we can heal it. And the masculine and feminine need to forgive themselves and trust the feminine again, the goddess, so we may access God, the masculine as the feminine, both. As in divine union. All right, that's how we birth the inner child now. And that happens when we heal the inner child and all these wounds. It's all one. And that's why that's so important. And it's how we heal our own children. It's how we heal 7 generations forth and back. And again, it's much more quantum than that. That's how we change everybody around us. Okay, it goes out in the collective. That's all healing at collective level. Everything is being cleared. My essence, all these karmic imprints, all these trauma imprints. That's why it's coming up in our awareness now to heal. All right. And there's a lot of love together with the love tsunami to buffer this all nicely up. Okay. Because ultimately, once we really see we have co-created this all as one, it's that forgiveness, forgiving yourself and all others, because we've all been guilty at some stage. Okay. And it's not a competition. And that's true freedom. And divine love is the key, because it makes it possible. Just through divine love, that's how you distinguish truth from inverted truths. Because real truth is always based in love. It makes you always open up and expand more. It doesn't make you feel fearful and contracted. I can speak very hard truths and it doesn't make you feel very fearful and contracted. And they are higher truths, because fear isn't false. Fear-based matrix equals false. It's an inverted truth. If it makes you feel in separation and fearful of negative agendas and all of that stuff. All right. We need to transcend all these fears. I'm not saying that they're not relevant. All right. And yes, we've all had trauma and wounds, but ultimately it's a shift in perception that heals you. And that's what's happening right now with the collective consciousness shift. Because our hearts only closed up because we saw things all upside down. Because we projected onto other people like they were evil just because they did something bad to us or whatever, or we perceived something as bad. And instead of seeing it in a balanced way of saying, oh, okay, this person, got that a bit wrong, instead of like, oh, they're terrible. You get me? Because it's one of those narcissistic traits, it's this whole love-hate thing, or like love bombing. And then it's like, either you're the greatest or like, you're the devil. And that's what's happening a lot out there. So, yeah. So as the Welts lift, it's all coming up and out. The twin flames are now here to really heal that, okay? Because that's how we come to divine union, heal our last inner wounds, to shift in perception, okay? Because ultimately the women, we really tried our best. We all made mistakes because we were too naive and we weren't prepared. But now we know better and it wouldn't happen anymore. That's the whole point about the experiences. And if we remember this at a collective level, we can just let it all go, drop into the oneness, that forgiveness, that's freedom, that's abundance, that's new earth, that's the new Eden, okay? That's organic, essential realities. The false timelines are all being shift deleted. And thank you so much for the people who've taken part in the activation, the Holy Trinity, Diamond Grid, and Plasma Lightbody Activation. It's basically now, it always kind of takes 72 hours roughly to fully integrate. And people are still taking part or doing it again. So it's super quantum. Take part in the quantum if you want to, because you've already taken part, if you feel guided to. So it's the last video. And you can also, in the comment box of the last video, you also have a download link. You can also download it via MP3. It's almost an hour long. So, but just the sound quality is sometimes better, in case you want to do that. And thank you so much for everybody who's, again, given a donation and shares and likes and subscribes and comments. Thank you so much for your support. Because, as I say, that's all I offer since last October. And, for the people that get it, that I'm doing this in order to get us all, into new earth and transcend all these programs and poverty consciousness and lack programming, and also to reach more people in my work, okay? And there will come a day where people will very willingly, give an exchange for what we offer here, because it's the soul that's important. And people are very willing to give money for, lunches and shoes and clothes and decor, or, rent and all of that stuff, which I know are essentials, but your soul is also an essential. And if these things help you, it should be, like that people want to give back as an energetic exchange, of saying thank you, if they can, of course. Again, that's why I've been doing things on donation, to make it available to all, because I know a lot of people are struggling, and, especially now. And So again, thank you for those that get it and do support me. And just if anybody's wondering, yes, of course I could do private sessions and I can think of packages. I've mentioned before, I've been in sales. It's not as if I don't have the skills to do this, but the guidance just hasn't been there. And yes, it needs to come from purity and it needs to come from, it needs to just be in alignment. It needs to come from the right place. And I always just do whatever comes with the guidance. And I have now for about 4 years lived literally from day to day and week to week, and mainly on donations, and it has worked. And that was just my path. I'm not saying it should be your path or someone else's path. That's just how I had to step away from my ego, and because it doesn't even really interest me to put together a fancy website and put like an image together and describe myself and this and that, that whole, I don't need it. All I want is literally get my message across. That's all I want. But I do know that having a website would help that. And again, it just hasn't happened for many different reasons. First of all, because I'm not a very good provider at all. That's the main reason. And right now, everything is just up in the air, totally. So I'm letting it all like settle. I'm right now just being asked to just work in the field because it's all going to literally shift all around us. There's nowhere to go to. We're all here at home right now. The frequency of home is here. I feel like I can finally relax since Monday, since that activation. It's like literally I'm like, it's the frequency of home. I can relax. The pressure is off. It's like a feeling of pressure is off because we're still making it happen, obviously, but it's from a much more relaxed point. I don't feel this zzz anymore, which is also the AI grid. And all this funky frequency business, because it's all going down, 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 down. And it's about to fully dissolve now. So the blue rays also very much connected to the Ayanis, this ancient priesthood and council, and because we will have reincarnated throughout the different timelines. And they are also connected to the twin flames very much, but especially the core twin flames. So which will mostly resonate with what I've just shared. So as we bring this to awareness, we can heal it and then go. And obviously I'm also sharing this for the masculines who feel affected by this to hopefully forgive the feminine deep within their hearts, that they now maybe remember why they don't trust the feminine. Because at one point we might have trusted the wrong people and gave the wrong advice, but now we know better. And it doesn't mean that we are crazy and that we are distorted and that we don't know what we're talking about. No, doesn't mean that. Okay, because we have learned, but now you need to let go and you also need to move on and forgive. And also because there's been a lot of projection and there's a lot, I had a lot of stuff come up and I know it was collective, this whole, there is this line just now, as I said, we are done now because this is just a line. We're not waiting for anyone anymore. Not for the masculine, not for our twin, nothing. That's what I'm feeling. I can just feel this is done. It's a frequency. Again, you can't fake this. You can't make yourself, let go on that level. But I just feel it's just happening at a very deep energetic level. But I've also been shown after the event, whatever that may be, basically we will both be totally different. Yeah. And that it's kind of New Earth is synonymous with both being together again, because again, we carry the codes, but it's like right now we're kind of seeing kind of the opposite playing out in a way, because this is part of the illusions. As I said last time, you just need to see through all the illusions, and that's been happening as well a lot over the last few days. As any distortions coming up in the field, anyone trying to bring drama to you, any foreign timelines, any distortions in consciousness, just neutralize them, see them for what they are, not just not wanting to know. That's not neutralizing. It's just seeing also through for what they are and just neutralizing them in divine neutrality and divine love, which basically means you don't get triggered by it anymore. You don't fall for the drama. You don't get drawn in, and you see that it's all part of the illusion. Okay, that it's all nonsense playing out. It's all programs playing out. And that's how I literally dissolved one last time. And you don't get triggered anymore by the nonsense. And you see how it's all an illusion. And somebody asked in the last call as well, how should we handle people when they are, having their meltdowns, and that's obviously not how they worded it. What was the wording? You know, people now are having a hard time, let's put it that way. It really depends who it is, what's the energy they're coming from, what energy you are in, what's the situation. Every moment is different. You're also different aspects of you come forth with different people. Some people, you know, you're totally comfortable with, and you can trust them, and you feel very relaxed, and you're going to be very happy and nice with. And if you have also, especially frequency wise, and then some people who might be a little bit more changeable as well, you will feel literally as they walk into the room what frequency they're in, and then your frequency will shift depending on that. So there might be shields going up, but it's not as in protective, but more like whoop. But also outside, you know, it sounds like just clear your field. It's just like anything negative in this field is just being cleared, more like that, instead of protecting. You know, it's more like just clear it. All right, just know you're that powerful. And just throw them back to source. So we just don't take any more bullshit. We know what it is. We don't get angry anymore. But if people do overstep the mark, and you do have to say it 3 or 4 times, yeah, you will say a lot more pissy the 4th time. Again, don't think that embodiment is like, you're like the saintly, no emotions, and I don't know, always happy and light and no hard words spoken. No, I don't get that at all. I mean, it's all multidimensional integration, and I still say F words. I enjoy them. It's a good release. Not as much, because yes, we do want to, you know, words to carry a frequency, but they do sometimes have a place. And sometimes things need to come up, and especially again, as blue rays, they transmute a lot of the freaking energies here on this planet. And yeah, there needs to be a lot of transmutation, but we don't hurt other people, okay? We don't create more pain and trauma because we transmute and alchemize all this stuff. But we are not doing anyone a favor by enabling bad behavior. That would be the enablement that I spoke of. We need to stop in some other videos before. Also, if you're currently struggling with what's going on, okay, go back in my videos, because there's so many navigational tips. And again, I always bring in what's coming in available right now, and it might be ahead from what you're experiencing, or in general, they're just different pieces we don't have, okay? So, and all of my videos, again, they do help you, help your whole morphogenetic field to clear, purify, balance, harmonize, and upgrade. And you know, keys and codes get activated. And I'm not here to teach. I'm ultimately here, you know, it's all about remembering, you know, it's all about resonance, isn't it? And yeah, I don't have it all figured out, but we're all figuring it out together. And if things resonate and you might take them further, you know, it might remind you of something that you're then remembering. That's what it's all about, isn't it? That's why we're not just, as I said last time, sitting somewhere in a cave and doing this all on our own. And next is also co-creation, but we couldn't really do this with all the distortions everywhere. And that's why also I've been mainly just doing stuff on my own, because I've seen this and I've experienced that it's like, it just doesn't work very well as so much as clearing in the field. You sort of need to protect your field depending also what you're doing. And not many people you can work with, okay? Until now, where then people are fully integrated and you don't have competition or jealousy anymore, all these ego distortions playing out and all these kinks and traumas being triggered right, left, and center. And then we can work co-creatively together when we're all sovereign. And that's where we get into now. And that's when it's fun working together. So for the twin flames, I would just say, I'm just totally letting go. I'm like done with it. I'm like, if it doesn't get it, fine. I'm moving on. So, and I really feel it's clicking for him then or not. It's both ends, because I'm not faking it, as in I'm not letting go for him then to get it. It's just, it's energetic, because you see, everything is an energetic dance, especially with the twin flames. Everything exists, especially on the 2 opposite ends of the scale, which they're collapsing just like timelines to come in the middle and create one. So basically, let's just say it's something like insecurities are coming up. I mean, it's again, any relationship can relate to this, all right? We're in relationships and then it's like insecurities coming up and the other person reflects it back to us. But actually both are insecure, especially if you have someone who's like kind of more, full of themselves, more arrogant, whatever. They have deep insecurities. It's just that they are covering it up with the mask and this whole false exterior of superiority and false confidence. Because a truly confident person wouldn't come across like that at all. And the other person might feel inferior and feel less than, and this then comes across. And the one person would then kind of make the other person feel insecure. But it's like both are attracting one another for both of them to resolve the insecurity that exists on both ends. It's the same with kind of greed and poverty consciousness. It's kind of both the same. It's just, both are concerned about not having enough money or, like accumulating money. It's just both ends of the scale of kind of distorted money consciousness, of not having enough. It's never enough. So we are dissolving all of these themes on opposite end of the scales in any kind of relationship, but especially the twin flame relationships will bring up all the insecurities, all our fear of rejection, abandonment, all of that stuff, okay? And we're mirroring that back to each other. And one party might not want to know, and the other part is more aware. So the feminine has been holding a lot of space, and now it's just like no more. And it's happening at collective level with everyone. It's like, okay, we've done enough. You're ready now. You're either on board or you're not. We've done this for long enough. We've talked for long enough. We've waited long enough. I think we're all done here, are we? I'm done. I'm really done. And I mean it. And I might think, we've said this before, but now we're really done because the frequency is reached, because we're done collectively. I know it. That's what I'm seeing. So I hope that has helped to release that last bit in the twin flames, because again, it's all within. Okay, we unified. This is ultimately about your union with God's source. This is what this is all about. One more thing, because we have done stupid things out of love. If we had not fallen in consciousness and our ego attachments to our masculine, we would have not fallen for these lies. If we had been fully in tune with God's source consciousness, we would have seen through the lies. It's because we fell in consciousness through the fear. And because before also other things have happened, as I said before, projections and allowing and enablement. And, there was already a split, but it got more distorted and very painful. But again, we had to learn this ultimately all in order to then learn the lessons to now know, and to now, it's like, no, we're not going to go crazy, do crazy things for love anymore. We're not going to kill people. We're not going to, the crazy things people do, you know what I mean? I'm not saying that we did, but you know what I mean? Like where people do crazy things for love and they don't do the right things in alignment with the law of one. Because when you act from ego will, for attachment, you really need to be at a stage where it's like you're totally tuned into source and you know what to do. Okay, and what's the highest outcome for all involved, not just for you or your loved ones. That's the service to all over service to self or service to others, because it's about service to all, not just one or the other. That's the whole thing. It's all about the both ends. It's about the unification of all of those things. It's always both things. So basically, I think I said enough of that. So yeah, it's basically about your divine union with source, fully reconnecting to God's source consciousness. That's, you are coming to divine union within, marrying God, and then everything else will fall into place anyway. And what's meant for you will not pass you by. So, and it's all projected from within. That's the whole thing, okay? So all these false projections, it's like, oh, nobody loves me, my partner doesn't love me, my children don't love me. There are programs that run deep within, and then you will actually create realities like that. And then you will blame the other people for it. And that's what we can't do anymore, you see, because we've co-created it all together. But the other person also was drawn to you in order for you to both dissolve and resolve all these programs and incoherence and inversions within the consciousness to come to divine union with all again, the oneness. Okay, so that's what's happening now, is we're clearing all these distortions. And again, it's just false perceptions because the heart is closed down. Because again, we projected, monsters out instead of seeing it in a coherent way, that yes, we all make mistakes. But when we then, push our shadow down, don't want to look, which has happened with the masculine a lot, and this cognitive dissonance, okay, just has to go. You need to be able to look honestly. But if you demonize and have too high standards of some holiness, okay, in your mind, you are bound to fail, of course. That's why perfection, yeah, exactly. Let's come to perfection. I don't aim for perfection. I mean, you're trying to constantly improve, but it's like, what is perfect? Everybody has a different idea of that, what they like, what they don't like. There needs to be a common sense of reality and a common sense of morals and ethics. Yes, very clearly, but they're coming naturally online, okay, from within and through cosmic hell. All right. So all you need to do is get rid of your ego, artificial programming, okay, and clear this all out, all the traumas, all right, and lose your attachment and your identification with your role here and your identity, because you've been many different people, and ultimately on source level, you're all of this. This is the whole thing. Once we never forget again that everybody's an extension of you, but that doesn't mean that you allow bad behavior. No, you treat them in alignment with what would be the highest, best outcome that you can only do when you tuned into source, cosmic consciousness, which is happening now for these crystalline activations and emerald heart activations. And us turning into our diamond avatar self, our future ancient self. Okay, so it's like going back to the future here in those timelines, catching up where we were as if it hasn't happened, but it's in the future. Okay, because we've been held back in time, obviously, because we've been looping, because of all the interference that has gone totally out of control, parasitic thought forms, like, oh my goodness. And yes, it's not just about sitting there and wishing it all away. Oh my goodness. I mean, I think you can see from all I've been sharing, I do a lot of the clearing up of all this crap. Yeah, all of this energetic stuff has to be cleared out, and at architectural level as well. But once we've cleared out enough now, it's just been totally dissolved, because you remember again that you're dreaming, that this is a projection. Okay, and it's about us projecting a new consciousness into the reality, which creates new realities. It's really as simple as that. And not as easy, obviously, and many different parts to it. And yes, it has been a massive project. I mean, it's ultimately an exploration of consciousness. And now it's like, okay, we finished this thought experiment at this level of the kind of video game. Let's move on to the next level, which is going to be so much more fun. It's going to be an organic creatrix field. Okay, beyond all this kind of distorted way of separation, of seeing even dimensional levels. This is beyond fifth dimension. I said this before. Okay, get rid of all these, all dimensions are merging. It's 12 and beyond. It's really all the harmonic universes merging, all the 5. And then there's a 6th new one, which is just the antimatter level. Now, so it's really all merging and unifying from within us. It's our multidimensional selves merge and unifies as well. Of course, it's all synonymous. The 12-dimensional strands, 12-dimensional layers, and so forth. And it's really beyond that. Okay, it's 144, and you can go infinite ultimately, but we're now unifying this because there's too much, obviously, we're not aware of, and timeline bleed throughs and all of that has caused a lot of problems and all kinds of stuff. So this whole separation and fragmentation in consciousness is reflected in all this fragmentation throughout the dimensional layers and levels and seen and unseen and all of that stuff, and parallel universes and earths and all of that stuff. All is being cleared out and unified as one. And if you ask how it's going to happen, because I have some idea of some very complex way of perceiving the architectural design of creation. Again, I can just really tell you, tune in with your own heart, go beyond what you think you know, and how you think reality works, and how malleable it is, and how many different realities are out there. So, and how they can shift. So basically it's all coming in cosmic quantum tree of life, the perfect proton seed, original source codes ignite, original source codes ignite, all to do with the emerald order return, with us healing the pain and the division between the masculine and feminine, the twin flames, the Holocaust drama we've been through, as we're healing our hearts, okay, through shift in consciousness, through perceiving it differently, okay, on a deep level. We come to divine union within, and this triggers, and it's also part of Edenic paradisian codes coming online now very strongly, and this really ignites the new Eden. So that's what I see here, and that's freedom, that's prosperity codes, it's liberation, it's truth, it's all really the same, because love is truth. As I said before, how do you distinguish between truth and false information? Ultimately, it expands you, it's based in love, it helps you understand more. It doesn't mean that it all needs to be comfortable, no, but where you're perceiving the information from makes you understand more. Because again, every time I was shown more truth, I had a higher perception. It's like, yes, you feel like, oh, geez, like that's not nice. But then you get, oh, okay, I get now why they did this to me. And did this to me is ultimately you're doing it to yourself, just another aspect of you, us all resolving these different aspects, okay? But again, doesn't mean you let people carry on doing stupid things, okay? We hold responsibility and accountability for our realities, and we do need to sort them out, and we do need to speak our truth. Oh yeah, to come back to the person asking about how should you behave when people are, maybe having a meltdown or a hard time. So it depends on where they're at, because again, it really is, depending on where the person's coming from, the energy, everything is an energetic dance, okay? And sometimes you need to be very firm, and sometimes you will be very loving, and, we'll be able to just give them a hug or whatever. It really depends where they're coming from and what energy they're at. But you don't let them suck. Like, you don't have these dramas anymore, okay? People just suck your energy and bring that drama to your door, or want to involve you in that drama, and you just need to say really clear stops there. So it really depends on the situation, and sometimes you might not want to help or say anything at all. Again, everything is really dependent on the situation. That's why there's no guidebook, and that's why you need to be tuned in with that cosmic consciousness to know what you're going to do in each moment. There is no guidebook. There really isn't. And there isn't this whole thinking of we need to be holier than holy. Again, this will set us up for failure. That's actually what happened, okay, where the priesthood became kind of thought, they had it all figured out, but there was actually huge avoidance of acknowledging their shadow. That's why the whole shadow thing is coming up so much, okay, of looking at our stuff and really knowing thyself instead of projecting all of our crap onto other people, which we all do to certain degrees. But that's why we do need the mirrors and the others in order to show us that stuff. All right. And right now it's everywhere. You can't get away from the mirror, because it's getting clearer and clearer, because the heart is getting clearer and clearer, as Rumi said. Not as I said it, but for those that know the saying, what is it again? Like, as your heart becomes clearer and clearer, the mirror becomes clearer and clearer, something around that statement. So basically, this Trinity Pillars today are so anchoring, and so the mother's blue and father's emerald ray, and the diamond white platinum ray were anchoring, and really also huge activations within the grids, again, of the emerald crystal heart. And it's also really activating this human collective emerald heart grid and the permanent seed atom, and also the Amora flame and Azura point, really activating the collective awakening, this heart awakening that I posted about also today. So it's in full force, and it's going to everybody who's agreed to at higher soul level. Okay, the human might not be fully aware of it, and they might look different. Who's coming along is going to be affected from these activations. And other people will just, literally disappear or, exit some other way. So, and again, don't worry about people with a good heart and intentions, all right? Really don't. So there was also a lot of violet and blue rays, and the aqua rays. Oh yeah, and then I just copied something out. Yeah, what I wanted to say, so if you ever, that's what I didn't finish early on. So if you ever wonder some of the things, the blue ray, or you want to know more about the Emerald Order or about the scenes or whatever it might be, some of the terms I've been using, especially in the activations, you can go to Ascension Glossary. It's a website. Now, again, I don't agree with everything that's there, okay? It's not what I vouch for. I haven't wrote a website, but I do find it a good source, and there are some good general ascension terms and further insights there available. But as always, take what resonates, leave the rest, because again, information is constantly shifting and changing, all right, especially now. So what I wrote out there was, I just copied some part out of there. The cosmic monad of Holy Father God merged with his beloved Holy Mother God wife is emerald green, or the twinned emerald ray, and is the spiritual meaning behind the return of the Emerald Order. So I basically got to look that up after I saw these activations going on. So basically it's really also referring to the whole masculine feminine union and what I saw today. And the diamond white platinum ray really always represents for me kind of the Christus Sophia, the child of the Holy Father, Holy Mother. So yeah, huge DNA diamond grid plasma light body activations unfolding. I'm going to do quick activation now, I think. And just to activate our DNA a little bit more. And light language and sound healing is really nice for that. Getting into the sun is really nice for that. Talk to your DNA, activate it. Okay. See, just golden. They were golden today, like crystal and golden diamond light. It's beautiful. Oh yeah, what's also happening is rejuvenation, regeneration, and youthing. Also, is our mitochondria, and the DNA there is being, the codings are being corrected and returned to their original state, our original blueprints plus upgrades. So we will have more energy, we'll need less sleep, we'll more be sustained by sunlight. I know I'm not really hungry anymore, because you are more and more sustained by spiritual light, really. Yeah, and our eternal God source backflow return, our eternal life flows are returning. So before we've been on this bi-wave configuration and energy current, and basically it's been a finite life span and energy that kept recycling, and we would finally at some point run out of. But when we connect back to source, instead of a black hole system, we are perpetually renewed with energy. It's the same as us who do a lot of energy work and so forth. It's like, can be very heavy on you, can make you very tired, and also when these activations come in, but then we will feel more and more renewed. We'll be able to more and more hold these frequencies without being constantly totally tired and needing to rest a lot, or just being so affected by it on a physical level. Also, my karma corrections are completing and are really activating our multidimensional travel vehicles. I really felt that very strongly in my field today doing the work. And I know this is going on collectively. So depending again on whether you're already having this activating in your field or whether it's still going to happen, I can again recommend my activation from last time. And the tribal shield is really healing itself from within as kind of the core, the Trinity, basically the tri-wave, the threefold founder flame, all these, in the music of the sphere. So the corrected sound and telecones are all being corrected, and so is then the tribal shield healing itself from within. And we will see this by basically the tribes and the difference between people dissolving and us coming to unity. So beautiful colors in the grids, diamond grid networked activations, also tuned into platinum grid activations, especially Easter Island, Rosslyn Chapel, was also triggering the Rose line and the Grid and the Grail code activations. So there's a lot of that coming online also in England, Ireland, will also be France. And as I also already said, so false spiritual knowledge information program has been fully cleared along with astral and soul bindings, any remaining attachments, implants, inserts, tags, AI signals, demons, demon seeds, anyone who's still got crucifixion implants, also at collective level, planetary level. So yeah, so again, everybody's picking up on it, and the collective and planetary brain reset and collective consciousness reset is equaling the reality reset. So it's all really the same as the consciousness shifts, the reality shifts. It's happening collectively. I hope you can feel and see it on all levels. If you don't yet, do check with yourself. Where do you feel you might not be? You know, where's your focus? What are you focusing on? And basically now it's really just asking your higher self and source, if you have any questions, really ask, where am I stuck? Or what can I do to make me unstuck? Because if you want to know the truth, ask for it. I do want to know the truth. It's the question, do you really want to know the truth? Some people don't. So, but it's coming one way or another, ready or not. This is it. As I said, this is it. We are done. Okay, whether you're ready or you're not ready. So yeah, so it's all basically resetting. And if people don't like the word reset or whatever, sorry, I would really transmute that along with any other thing, because we're really taking back all the narratives, we're taking back all the words, we're taking back our systems, we're taking back the platforms, everything. Okay, it's ours. All right, so we're reclaiming all of this, and yeah, and transcending all these divisions in regards to trigger words. Okay, it's ultimately unhealed trauma if you feel triggered. Okay. I'm just having a quick look. Oh yeah, and just one last thing to the perfection. So if we have these, you know, what we think as awakened or ascended being should be like, we are merging God with the human. Okay, so again, yes, a common sense of morals and ethics, but there will be a lot of leeway in each person's own reality. That's the whole thing we're trying to get here. Everybody perceives reality different. Everybody should have their own gnosis. There shouldn't be just one system and one way to go about it. Not at all. That's basically drone mentality. So, and that needs to go. This whole putting things in categories and organized religion and all of that stuff. Okay, it needs to be approachable to everybody. Everybody has a soul. We need to bring the contact to our soul back to humanity, because people are born into this world, and you know, there's no real system of explain. Nobody knows what's really going on, you know. So forgetfulness is lifting. We're returning the tribal records by remembering our true self from within. Okay, by connecting with our wisdom and intuition and using it. And every time you trust your intuition, your aura heals and your aura gets wider and brighter. It's absolutely key. The whole intuition and wisdom thing is absolutely key in us transcending any kind of, oh yeah, the last thing, crazy. Let's transcend the crazy. Someone was writing today about, oh, they think we're crazy, we think they're crazy. How about we kind of call it a draw, something along those lines. And I want to say to that, basically, what came in, meaning as a higher answer, was like, let's see through the whole illusion of the crazy. Okay, we can see there's insanity, and yes, it's the mass psychosis out there, but ultimately it's also just programming, it's conditioning, it's mind control, it's soul fragmentation, it's soul loss. Okay, it's entity attachments. If we know all of this, can we not see through this illusion? Because that's how we dissolve this. This is what I meant with, it's just dissolving now. When you see through the illusion that that's not them, that's the illusion. This is not real. This is a false reality based on false consciousness. This is why this is false. So once you see it for what it is, you keep transcending it. And that's how you help them heal as well, these fragmented people, by just seeing the spark in them of their original spark, their original source light, and their original innocence and their original beauty. Let's remember the beauty again within ourselves and each other. And we can only really do this when we fully love ourselves. And we really can only fully love ourselves if we really know ourselves. Then we know who to trust, how to read people. That's all coming online now. We will have a whole bullshit detector going on in our field. Okay, it's a whole guidance system. So there's nothing to be afraid of. And even if something bad happens, you're not going to be heartbroken anymore, because you understand it's not about you. And there's nothing ultimately to fear, because you're eternal. What are we afraid of? Is it death? Getting our hearts broken? Because if you're afraid of it, you're more likely to do stupid things to get yourself into what you're afraid of. It's just a sure thing. It's just how this works. Whatever you focus upon, you draw to yourself. So, yeah. Lastly, was there something? Yeah. So purity of the heart and an awakened being, embodiment, doesn't mean what you think it does. I smoke, for example. I sometimes still have a drink. Stopped eating meat though. But I'm not saying at certain points people might need to eat meat, as I said before. Okay. So at different times, different things will be also right for you. That's a whole other point to it. And for different people, different things work and others don't. That's why we need to really pick this stuff out, you know, from different areas, and we keep evolving, we keep adjusting our DNA, will keep naturally mutating and evolving, okay, as does our consciousness. So nothing's ever just set. So let go, relax. It's about the purity of the heart, which is the purity of intent. And that's why ultimately with the soul false light thing, you need to feel into it, feel the purity of intent, the authenticity, the intentions, are there an integrity, you know, all of that. So just trust your knowing. And just because they said something wrong, or maybe they haven't healed something, doesn't make them distorted, okay? So there are different layers to it. For me, it's really about the ones who are doing this on purpose. And believe me, the illusions and distortions are, you know, they're masters at this. And that's the whole thing about these inversions and reading the frequency and encryption, is that they can say all the right things, but they mean something totally different behind it. And that's the transmission is between and behind the words. It is. So the person can say something very positive, but it actually is something totally different that they're transmitting multidimensionally, just as I, you know, when I'm like talking, I know I'm also transmitting all the things I'm not getting to say here. And that I've been thinking about for the last 3 days. It's already been in the field. That's another thing. We ultimately sense out telepathically now. But it's still, you know, good to anchor it into this reality, more truth and more of that frequency, because, you know, it sure as well is needed. And another thing, if you think this is also real, as you some make it out to be, then we would be really, you know, doomed, so to say. But it's not. So dissolve the illusions, see through the veils, through the inverted programs, just let it all go. It's all dissolving. I mean, it's literally happening, you know, one way or another. But yeah, through our energy work and all the other stuff we can consciously do, we can sure help it along. So any moment now, I see, oh yeah, solar flash. The highest answer, I do believe it will be spiritual light, like a light bulb going off. But the answer from source was basically just go beyond just not to focus on that, and just to go general, go into the feeling, because the problem is then you're in waiting, because then you're waiting for the flash. When you're in waiting, you keep waiting. That's the frequency of waiting. So you want to tune into where you want to be, the frequency of that reality which you want to manifest, because that's ultimately what gets you there, not the waiting for the flash frequency, no, or waiting for anything. That's why we get busy, okay, and just get on with things. Because you don't wait, that keeps you in waiting position, and that's why we keep waiting. So, 2 confirmations there. So, go connect with that reality you want to live in as much as you can, in whichever way you guide it, and keep aligning your consciousness and all of yourself with that. Every word, every feeling, every thought, every behavior, every action. Okay, all of this is this. All right, doesn't matter what you do. Everything. What are you being whilst you're doing whatever you're doing? It's a frequency. All right, doesn't even matter what you say, as I said, although it does also matter. It's both and. But ultimately, it's what you mean. It's the purity behind your words. It's the intention behind your words. It's your frequency. That's what shifts. Okay. And again, it doesn't mean you're just high frequency, doesn't mean you're happy all the time. No, it means your frequency of truth, integrity, authenticity, standing in alignment. And right now, it means a lot of, showing people how this is done and putting up some strong boundaries. So at different times, it means different things. So I hope that makes sense. The purity of the heart, that's how we sleep well. We know our intentions are good and everything is going to be well. All right, this has been sorted out now. We are part of making that happen by sorting out our realities and taking full accountability and responsibility for them, standing in our truth as much as possible and speaking it, because that's what dissolves all the bullshit, quite frankly. Okay, so one more thing. Oh yeah, also with the heart healings, what can also happen, obviously, that's bringing up the unhealed wounds and the trauma, and it can also bring up PTSD and anxiety and depression and physical symptoms. So really just allow to feel it, but it can really go quite quickly right now, but you need to feel it in order to release it. Okay, but you don't need to dwell on it. So just hold it. And then you also know, but it's actually also just a story, because that's how you transcend the whole playing a role and identifying with your identity and your little person here and being in victim-victimizer consciousness and polarity. When you're like, whoa, this, like, you need to feel it because that's your part that you played. You need to feel it. It did happen to you, okay? But then you also release it as part of, okay, but this is part of the foreign timelines and I fully release. And ultimately, it's just a role I played here as part of the one to resolve it all and heal it all. Okay, so that's the neutral observer perspective, because what we're facing, you can't face this, you can't transmute this from the polarized victim-victimizer thing. That's why there is no disclosure the way people think it will be. The disclosure is that we're co-creating this all as at one with a huge love tsunami and supernova of the heart and divine union within. It's all the same. The truth, disclosure, it's an inside job. It arises from within. It's not out there, some news sources telling us who are the bad guys. We will just know. And it will basically be gone. Okay? And some will have turned a corner and turned around and made different choices. So, okay, I will leave it at that. I hope it helped you. One more question was there. I'm just seeing it here. How can I get into the 0 point field? It's basically, you need to go just with the flow. Okay. You don't resist anything because you will go within, these bipolar, although that's basically clear now with the 0 point field anchoring. But, on your ascension journey, we'll have a lot of this up, down, up, down, up, down. Just be neutral, just accept it. And that will lessen, first of all, these sensations, and the polarities will become a little bit less, okay, more and more and more. And you basically just work through all your judgment and resentments and triggers and just face them head on, but you're just kind of not attaching to the stories of what you're trying to resolve there. So you're trying to always step back. It's like you feel it, but you also then step back from the neutral observer perspective, which is towards your eternal self, which is not attached to the story it's playing, to the role. So that's how you're being the neutral observer place of whatever is happening, even chaos. You're trying to understand, okay, this is why people are like this, or this is why this is happening. Again, doesn't mean that you don't have boundaries or discernment, or don't tell people to stop when they're disrespecting you and so forth. Okay, but you do it from a place of not demonizing them. You just see it from, okay, they are in a bad mood, or they are, just bad side of them, and I just need to tell them it's not okay. But it doesn't mean that you hate them, you know what I mean? Or that you demonize them. So that's the neutral observer state. That all things you just sort it out. It's just from perspective of the one, of source, of knowing what to do and who to handle how, because you're looking at, okay, what version of the one, of source, is this person coming as to me today? How do I need to interact with them? And what version of source am I today? You know, maybe someday sorry, my version of source doesn't want to talk to you like today. I'm not in the space. I'm transmuting something else here. Might not go so well. Okay, things like that. So each moment is different. So that's why the word multidimensional self needs to be integrated. That hasn't been done before. There is not a template or a book out there that's telling you how this is going to look like. We are co-creating it and making it up in a way as we go along and figuring it out all together as one. Okay, so that's what's happening. It's a finish line. I hope you can feel it too. Now let's just do one tiny little DNA activation. Just a little bit of light language. Just for a moment, focus on your heart. Just clear your mind. Let go of any thoughts, any worries. And just take a couple of breaths, centering ourselves, breathing in love, breathing out any worries, any fears, any stress. Just let it go, return to source. Letting all of that go now. It's no longer needed. Esushunata yanate anayanata nasunaya ke Kinatuna shana yana kea suya. Onananea tea kekea kana sa. Suye. Na 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 na. Kutu naina sa naina te na e ha e ane senatana yake unea kekinate so kaya na kianate ya sono na nena nea nena te sona anana nena te na sa anuna yena Heana nena suna ake asea una nena ne ana sena te ta se Anayana kena tena hey na ye na yeshu asa kena kana tonai Usunate na se na kea kona ne u a ne anata ke su ne se na te a ye e na te na ne e na karasana te Enana suna ye, ena e tuna ye na she na ke kora na se une na ye na nu ne yu takana ye te suna sha
Kena yana tena sena tena yena ke. Una eya nata. Isuna kieta. Kana yana kena shena yena tena suna ya ke ana tara ya kashunate. Unana nea ye. Asunatana ye. Sukunatana ye. Tananate yu sunae. He to ya na ke anatana sana te akena shena ye natana ye na sa ne a na ta e sa te ya ne ya tu na te na se na ke na te na ye na te na se na tu na ye na ya e ke na shukura sa ke na ke a rasta rasta na e kane na sa na ke na ko na se kana shukura ke na se tara Kuina te ena ke na sana ye kuta ena se aneana ona ye a ke a ye a ye a ye a ye tu na e se ne ena ona ne na te ya ne ya na sanara ne ya ne ya ne ya ne ya ki na e tena kena ye enana senata anana kuna ina shena ena ke na ea na tuna ina shena kena ena kena ena na e na e ye to na se ha na pe ane ake anuna ne aya una ye na se anakara shoko ye na ye ana soko na tara se anake sukuna daya ka tuskuna keresh kena kena karaskuna kena kena ayana karasukuna te akeata kena kara shukuna te kena na e karasa kuna ena ke asukuna te ase kana kena kena shukuna kena 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 skena shukuna kena kena skena shukuna e sa te ya na ha he you he na su ya ne na mu na ne ha ta na se na ye na ha ta ye na ke ana shukuna ke tarasa kaya na ke amara tena ke na shukuna ye kasena tena ke ukuna ke na se na kara sakara shukuna ke ase ekena sukura shakara ke ana ke kona se ye ena kara kukuna sakana ke activate the 144 divine template plus free S1 Esuna ke shuna tara kana seke na ko una sa triple helix DNA su activate kena ya arana koya ena sonaya ne ake ya te aso shukanata te anaka ena se Tuta que no satara sata. Tatuyana kana sakara tatayana sena sekeya shukunatea keake. Taya tuyana shena kena sateya uyana ta asenatea ke unayena yea tea unayea ea ne tu na e na se na yena te na ke na ta ya na. Sutunake e shataka ye e naka sakanake akeke na sakanakanata ashukunateata. Sutara satara satara sakara kukinake asha kukanate etanaya sekana atanasa tukara sheya seya enatea kea. Ta tata kunayana kena sakara. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It is done. So it is. Now, I hope you enjoyed that. And just drink plenty of water, a lot clearing, a lot activating, a lot expanding. Tune to your DNA, tune to your plasma light body, connect with Earth, connect with the core of Earth. And yeah, I think there's nothing more to say right now. So keep it general, don't wait. We're not in a frequency of waiting, we're in a frequency of celebration. It has already happened, it's done. Any moment now, it's all gone. Okay, so thank you so much for being here now. I hope this has helped you. If you do like, I do appreciate donations. The details are below. Thank you so much for all your support and being here now, all your love, and have a blessed everything. Infinite miracles abound now. Be the miracle, be the love that heals all, radiate it out to all. I love you. We're doing this. It's happening. Last steps. Love you guys. It's already done. Bye.